Ladies and gentlemen, it is the moment you have all been waiting for. My predictions for this upcoming 2022 NASCAR season. Full season predictions. We'll be predicting the winner for every single race. We'll also be predicting the 16-man playoff field round by round knockout edition in today's video. And this is going to be a fun one. It's going to be a little bit of a long one, but hopefully you are tuned in and you guys are ready for the predictions. Down below, comment your predictions for the 2022 NASCAR season, maybe some of the crown jewel events you have, drivers winning, your champion, who's going to win however many races. We're going to go through all that and more in today's race, and we're going to specifically spotlight each and every one of these at least full-time drivers for the Cup Series season, and I will give you my predictions for each of them. So your favorite driver is going to get mentioned at some point today. Buckle up because, again, it's going to be a long one, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I have the tier list here, as you guys can see. I also have a list of where I have the actual drivers and how many wins they're going to get, what races they're going to win. Each of the first 2 years I did this, I ended up having 5 wins total predicted correctly in 2020 before the start of the season, and then 2021 as well. So trying to get 6, trying to top it, been stuck at 5 the last couple of years. Maybe we get even more than 6. We'll just have to wait and see. So it looks like we got Cole Custer first and foremost on here. It's pretty randomized of the drivers we're going to be talking about in order. And for Cole Custer, I really don't expect him to do much. He had a win 2 years ago in 2020. He got his first career win at Kentucky on a greenway checker finish. Outside of that, his career has been lackluster in the Cup Series. Stewart-Haas Racing was not very strong last season. I think they'll be a little bit better this year with the next-gen car, but honestly, this is kind of similar to how Hendrick Motorsports was in that 2017, second half of 2017 all the way through 2018, the first half of 2019, where they just struggled as an organization to get wins up on the board. They had a retiring veteran, Jimmy Johnson, just like Stewart-Haas Racing as a retiring veteran of Kevin Harvick, and 3 young guys around him. And unlike with Hendrick Motorsports, you're not really seeing the full potential here. I would actually probably say that Cole Custer is almost like the William Byron of a couple of years ago when it came to Hendrick Motorsports, and is probably the least likely to get a win of the 4 at that team right now. The only difference is William Byron was a rookie in 2018. Cole Custer's already been in the Cup Series for now 3 seasons this year, so a lot less pressure on Byron then versus what is on Custer this year. If he doesn't make the playoffs, I think he is out of that 41 car at the end of the year. Potentially, I mean, maybe they go to Riley Herbst. We know Ryan Preece will probably get brought up and move up to the 10 car, at least is my prediction for next year. Maybe they find another replacement for the 10 car. Maybe they bring Stenhouse over. JTG Doherty shuts down, and then Cole Custer ends up getting booted, and then they bring Preece into the 41. Whatever the case is, I don't even see Preece being at Stewart-Haas Racing at the end of the season, personally. I think he's going to be in the best of the rest category. I don't see him making the playoffs. Next driver, we got the 43 of Erik Jones. RPM, I think they'll be a little bit more competitive this year with the next-gen car, but I don't expect them to make a playoff push. Again, unless he goes out and wins a super speedway, he could get in, obviously, but I don't see anything really happening there. As far as the 16 car, I believe Justin Haley is going to be in the 16 full-time, unless the 16 is the part-time ride. Regardless of the fact, kind of the same thing with Erik Jones. Haley's a pretty good super speedway racer, but that's pretty much going to be about his only chance to get a victory this season. Corey Lejoy, going to throw him in that same bout for Spire Motorsports. He had a couple good runs towards the end of last year, so I think that's going to actually build up a decent amount of momentum. I actually expect him to get a couple more top 10s this year than what he did last year. I think he had 2 top 10s last year. I think he can double that. I think he can get 4 top 10s by the end of the year, maybe a couple on a super speedway. Martinsville's a good track for him. Look out for him in the Clash this weekend to maybe be an upset if he even makes it into the 23-man main event race for the Busch Clash this weekend at the Coliseum. I think that's a win for that organization. So Corey Lejoy could be one of those drivers. I feel like that could maybe come here and there. You'd probably not expect him to finish in the top 10. I think he'll get a few of them. I don't see him making the playoffs, so along with the other 4 we've already mentioned. And now we get into another driver who I don't think is going to make the playoffs, but you could have a very strong case for, and that's going to be the next driver on the list. It's going to be Austin Dillon. I don't think Austin Dillon is going to make the playoffs personally. No particular. I'm actually going to put him towards the front of this tier list because he is the everything to the left is probably going to be the closest to making the playoffs, and then round by round by round. as far as, I don't know why it's not there. Okay, so as far as Austin Dillon goes, it's tough. It really is tough because Austin Dillon has made the playoffs a lot in his career. He does have 3 career wins. He made the playoffs in each and every one of those seasons. I don't think he's actually made the playoffs on points before, and I think he's going to have to do that. Last year, he would have qualified on points. He was in the top 13 in points all season, but unfortunately, because guys like Almirola, McDowell, and I believe actually Bowman was behind him in points. I think Christopher Bell was also behind him in points at the end of the regular season. They all had wins that bumped Austin Dillon back, even though he finished the end of the regular season 12th in the standings. I don't know. I just feel like the middle of the playoff field, that 12th to 24th is going to be so tightly packed together that in a season last year where we saw Hendrick Motorsports, really Chevrolet as a whole, dominate, we may see that again, but I don't think it's going to be as likely that they're going to be as dominant as what they were in 2021 because everything's going to be closer compacted together with the next-gen teams. I mean, you look at the 45 car is going to be another strong competitor this year competing for a playoff spot. His teammate, of course, Tyler Reddick, who beat him already last year, and Reddick is only gaining more experience. That's going to help him as well to maybe surpass the 3. Man, I just don't think there's enough spots in the playoffs. If there were maybe 2 more spots, I would give Austin Dillon, that 17th to 18th range at the end of the regular season. It's going to be close. I just don't have him in my playoffs. There's just too many the drivers that I have in the playoffs, you'll understand why I don't have Austin Dillon. So maybe some of you guys disagree with me. Again, comment down below in the chat. But we'll have to see about that one. Another guy I don't have making the playoffs in his rookie year is going to be the 21 of Harrison Burton. Burton is going to be a rookie. He's going to be competing for Rookie of the Year. Him and Syndrick probably going to be the 2 front runners there. Syndrick's got a little bit better equipment than, say, Harrison Burton, so I don't think Burton will win the Rookie of the Year. I don't think he'll make the playoffs either. I'd be shocked if he gets the 100th win for the Wood brothers in his first season. He actually had a down year compared to 2 years ago in the Xfinity Series. 2 years ago, he won 4 races. Last year, I don't even think he won a race. So definitely kind of a slumping year to head into the Cup Series. A tough transitional year, to say the least. I don't know what to expect out of Harrison Burton, to be completely honest. I mean, honestly, if he finishes top 20 in points, I think that's a good rookie season for Harrison Burton. So I think those should be his expectations this year. Playoffs, not so much, only because he's a rookie. First driver we're going to have making the playoffs, at least to start off with, is going to be the 8 of Tyler Reddick. I did mention that his teammate Austin Dillon was not going to get in, but I do think Tyler Reddick will get in. I do think he wins 1 race this year as well, but a spoiler alert, I don't have him winning a race in the regular season, so I do think he will get in off of points, one of the few drivers that will do so. He was consistent enough to make it on points last year, so I don't understand why he wouldn't be as consistent this year, and that was only his second season. Again, he's only going to gain more experience. I think this car is going to fit his driving style a lot better on the mile and a half, so I think he will have even better performances on what were the 550 tracks last year or the mile and a half this year. Another driver I have making the playoffs here quickly is going to be Ryan Blaney. In fact, I think him and Joey Logano, the Penske teammates, are both going to easily make it into the playoffs this year. I think Ryan Blaney is going to go out there. He's going to win a few races. He won 3 last year. I could see him winning 3 again this year. And I see Logano winning a couple races as well, easily getting his way into the playoffs. For William Byron and really all 4 Hendrick cars, we're just going to throw them in here because I don't want the video to be 50 minutes. So William Byron's going to make it in. Alex Bowman's easily going to make it in. Where are we at here? Chase Elliott easily going to make it in. Kyle Larson easily going to make it in. I think all these drivers are going to get wins throughout the course of the season. I do think, though, for Hendrick Motorsports, this is going to be William Byron's year to shine. I don't think he's going to be the top driver at HMS. I still think Larson and Elliott are going to be the 2 favorites there, but I do think Byron, who was, in my opinion, the 3rd best last year. I know he only had 1 win versus Alex Bowman's 4 wins, but Bowman was so inconsistent. I mentioned that even Reddick outpointed Bowman in the regular season. Bowman would not have made the playoffs if he didn't win last year. Reddick would have gotten that last spot in on points. So that kind of consistency is really not cutting it, in my personal opinion, for Bowman. But if he could still go out there and win races under this format, that's going to give him playoff points. It's going to give him a better chance to make a deep playoff run. He's been making it to the round of 8 here these last few years, and I think that he could potentially do that again. But William Byron, I do think he gets more than one win this year. Kind of like with Blaney and Bowman last year, that was their breakout season. I think this year is going to be William Byron's breakout year, so look out for that. Also, drivers that are going to make the playoffs, we got all four, in fact. Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas in there. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch will be in the playoffs. Even Christopher Bell will make the playoffs, and then Martin Truex Jr. As far as Christopher Bell goes, I actually don't have Christopher Bell winning a race in the regular season. I have him pointing his way in. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Truex, I have them all with multiple wins on the season. Kevin Harvick, I think he'll have a bounce-back year. I think he finds his way back into victory lane at least once throughout the course of the season. Particularly, I have him actually winning at New Hampshire. So that's a good track for Fords. It was a good track for him last year. The short tracks were the high point, I think. Phoenix is going to be another good track for him that he could potentially win at. We'll see. I think they'll be faster at the mile and a halfs. I just don't see him winning there. I just think Chevrolet was so strong on the mile and a halfs this year. I don't know how they could possibly take that big of a step back and let Ford win more mile and a half races this year, but we'll have to just wait and see, I guess. Other drivers I have missing the playoffs. I don't think Michael McDowell is going to make his way back in. I know there's more road courses this year, but I think he's going to have to win to get in. I don't think he's going to be consistent enough to make the playoffs off of points. Some of these numbers aren't actually running. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., kind of like, I actually put them in the playoffs. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., I don't have him making the playoffs either. Again, he could easily go out win a super speedway race, but in my realistic expectation, that's his only chance of making it in. And Dirt Bristol. Stenhouse is a very good dirt racer. He could go out and win that race. He finished second in it last year, and I do think that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a very good chance of winning that race, but unless he wins any of those super speedway races or Dirt Bristol, I just don't see him making it into the playoffs. I don't have Eric Almirola making it into the playoffs as well for Stewart-Haas Racing. He made it last year based off a win. I hate to say that, it's his final season in the Cup Series, but I just don't see it happening. I actually predicted him last season to not make the playoffs, and it looked like I was going to be right until he pulled off a miracle win at New Hampshire in the middle of the regular season and punched his ticket in that way. I think it's going to take a win that's going to get him in again. I don't think he's going to win on a non-super speedway again this season, so I say no-go in that aspect there for Eric Almirola. 38 car, no, none of the Rick Ware cars are going to make it. Sorry for any Rick Ware Racing fans out there, but I don't think any of them are going to make it. 77, I believe, is a part-time ride. Chris Buescher was an interesting one. I don't have him making the playoffs. I'm going to have him up here towards the front. Him and Austin Dillon were probably my top two of the drivers, and Bubba Wallace for that matter. So we'll throw Bubba Wallace over here as well. So this was very interesting. Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, Austin Dillon, all in the same boat. I think they barely missed the playoffs, to be completely honest, on points. I don't think Bubba Wallace is there to compete for wins on mile and a half. Can that program be better than what they were last year, especially with Kurt Busch going into 45? Yes, I do think that. Do I think he'll finish higher in points than what he did yesterday? Yes. He didn't quite get a top 20 in points. I think he does get a top 20 points this year. I think he finishes about 17th, 18th, right there with Austin Dillon, Chris Buescher. I just don't think he's going to make the playoffs. He exceeded my expectations last year in the sense that he did get a win. I didn't think he was going to get a win last year. I said it was the first year with that team. Pump the brakes. I don't see him winning this year unless it's another super speedway. I'm not definitive enough with it. I haven't seen enough out of him in the Cup Series to be able to do that, or at least confidently say that. I hope he goes out there and proves me wrong, but I just can't do it. It was very tough. And then Chris Buescher, kind of the same thing. He was pretty close to making the playoffs last year. He was right around that 17th to 19th range. I think he also can gain more experience with a veteran driver coming in as a teammate, like a guy by the name of Brad Keselowski, but I do not have Chris Buescher making the playoffs. even with Brad coming in. I think Brad will outperform Buescher more so, and he will have a better shot at making the playoffs than Buescher himself. But I just don't see him getting in. Now we have some interesting drivers for whether they do or don't make the playoffs. And we're going to start off with Brad Keselowski. Beans, we were talking about Roush. I have Brad Keselowski making the playoffs. And, I was thinking back to 2019. Ryan Newman made the playoffs with Roush Fenway equipment in 2019. I think Brad Keselowski is a much better driver than Ryan Newman, especially right now in Brad Keselowski's current career versus what Newman was even 3 years ago. With that being said, I don't think there's really any way that he is going to be able to miss the playoffs. I think that he will consistently point enough of his way in. The next gen car is going to even the playing field. Brad Keselowski is literally a champion driver. I don't see any way how he's missing. For that same reason, I have Kurt Busch making the playoffs. I do not have either Kurt Busch or Brad Keselowski winning a race in the regular season with their respective new teams, but I do have them making the playoffs on points. Last driver to make it into the playoffs. Last two drivers, I believe. Yes, 2 spots left open to make it into the playoffs. 99, Daniel Suarez will not make it. I do not have Daniel Suarez for Trackhouse making it in. I think he'll be contending for a top 20 in points. I actually am going to predict that Suarez is not even going to finish in the top 20 in points. I think it's that strong of a field. I feel like Austin Dillon, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, they're going to fill up that 17th through 19th range. Does Suarez finish 20th? I don't think so, because I think another driver in the top 20 would actually be his teammate Ross Chastain in the number 1. So that's kind of my 17th through 20th right there. It would be Austin Dillon, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, in whatever particular order they finish 17th through 20th. Those are my guys who are barely going to miss the playoffs. I think Suarez finishes a little bit better in points than what he did last year. I don't think he cracks the top 20 in points though this year. Again, it is just way more competitive in that 12th to 24th range in the charter teams, that I just don't see them being able to get their way in. So the other 2 drivers I have making the playoffs, these guys I both think will get their first career win this year, and I think they will win their races in the regular season. I don't think that they're going to be in the top 16 in points by the time the playoffs start, but I do think that they will be consistent enough to get a win, and that will be Chase Briscoe, not Chris. Chase Briscoe, I think, gets his first career win. And where do I think he gets his first career win at? On a road course at Indianapolis, where he won in the Xfinity Series, where he really had his only real shot to win a race last year. I think that alone goes to prove that he is a very, very good road course racer, specifically at that road course. In fact, the only other top 10s in the regular season that Chase Briscoe had last year, he had 3 top 10s in the regular season. They were all on road courses. Obviously, that one didn't even count because he didn't even finish in the top 10. He got black flag there at the end of the race. So he had 3 top 10s on road courses, and it wasn't even counting the race he almost won. I think Briscoe gets it done at the Indianapolis road course. I'm predicting him right now to win that race. Right here, right now. I'm calling my shot. Another driver I have making it into the playoffs with a win is Austin Syndrick in the 2. I think he wins the Rookie of the Year because he will be the only rookie to make his way into the playoffs. Sorry for any 42 Ty Dillon fans. I don't expect him to make his way into the playoffs either. So that is where we sit right now. I do think also Syndrick is going to win at Road America, so I think he's also going to get his first career win on a road course. He proved last year that he can run well on road courses. That 33 team didn't have the equipment, even though he was teammates with Blaney, Logano, Keselowski. He didn't have the equipment and the longevity and even the race team overall to be able to make it to the end of the race running as hard as what he was able to run. I think he'll have to back it off a little bit, save a little bit more of his equipment to last a full Cup race. I think that was the big learning curve for him on those road course races because they are longer in the Cup Series than what they are in the Xfinity Series. But if he could do that, I think he wins one of the road courses. Again, specifically, Road America is my pick. And now here are my regular season picks for the drivers I think are going to win their specific race. Starting off with the Daytona 500, this is, at least currently, I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin. I think experience is going to pay off. He's a 3-time Daytona 500 winner. I believe he's the only multi-time Daytona 500 winner that will be in the race. So I do expect Denny Hamlin to be one of the favorites. I'm going to say it's going to... I kind of had a feeling it was going to come down between either Hamlin or Logano. I went with Denny Hamlin because he does have the upper hand, it seems like, in recent years, especially on the super speedways. I also think the super speedway package looks similar, at least, to what we've seen in recent years with the next-gen car on how the testing went at Daytona, so I think that's also going to help for Denny. And even some of the other drivers who have run better on the super speedways, as you'll see in my prediction. So Denny Hamlin, I think, wins the 500. And again, these picks are going to change as we get into the season. You know, if I get to down to, let's say, like Road America and Syndrick's having a terrible year, you know, maybe I don't think he's going to win at Road America like I originally stated. Again, on the week-to-week predictions, I seem to do a lot better, obviously, because it's a lot easier than trying to predict everything from the very start of the year. Especially because we don't know if drivers are going to get hurt or even race those races as well. You know, the whole complexion of things can change. I do have Kyle Larson winning his first race at Auto Club, William Byron going to victory lane at Las Vegas, getting his first win, and Chase Elliott getting his first win at Phoenix. So 3 in a row for Hendrick Motorsports there. I think Ryan Blaney gets a W at Atlanta. He won the spring race last year. And actually, I didn't want to go Blaney at first. I know it's a much different Atlanta. It's not even going to be the same. But I do think that with his success on super speedways and the fact that Ford's success at Atlanta will combine into something very, very special there. They've actually won the last 5 races in the spring at Atlanta. Again, Blaney was one of them. Penske, in fact, 4 of them. So I do think Ryan Blaney will get the win at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I think Chase Elliott's the first driver to get his second win of the year. It will be at COTA. Back-to-back years, he'll win there. Martin Truex Jr. will get a win at Richmond, his first of the season. He has been very, very good there in recent years. Denny Hamlin, I think, is going to get his second win of the season at Martinsville. Good short track racer, flat track for him. And he came so close to victory lane there in the fall last year. He'll be looking for redemption in that short and 400-lap race. I do think Christopher Bell is going to go to victory lane again this year. I said he wasn't going to. I actually forgot I had him winning one race this year. I have him winning Dirt Bristol over Kyle Larson. Joey Logano, I think, gets his first win of the year at Talladega. Again, I thought about him for Atlanta. Went with Blaney because he seems to have a little bit better success there. Even though the track is going to be probably a lot different. The package is going to alone make the track a lot more different than what we're used to seeing at Atlanta. So that's why I have Blaney at Atlanta, but I have Logano winning at Talladega instead. I have Kyle Larson being the first driver to win back-to-back races at Dover and then the first Darlington race. That will get him to 3 wins total on the year. I think William Byron, again, goes to victory lane multiple times this season. I think he gets his second at Kansas. It's a good track for him. He ran good there last year as well. I think Martin Truex Jr. goes back to his Coke 600 ways from when he ran the 78 car, and he gets another one in dominating fashion. Kyle Busch goes to victory lane for the first time this year on a new oval at Gateway. Chase Elliott finally wins at Sonoma, conquering a track, a road course that he has not won at in his Cup Series career yet. Gets his first win there, his third of the season. I think also Kyle Busch will go to victory lane the week after that, getting 2 wins in a 3-race stretch, getting his second of the year. Again, at Road America, I have Austin Syndrick getting his first career win. Joey Logano getting his second win at Atlanta. Thought about it the first Atlanta race. I figured, well, they raced there twice. Let's give Joey Logano the second one. And I do think Kevin Harvick will get back to victory lane this year. Winning at New Hampshire was a race he led a lot of laps in last year. Storehouse Racing as a whole, that was their best race. Almirola went on to win the day, but Harvick led a lot of laps and actually won a stage that day as well. I think Harvick gets the W this time around. I think Ryan Blaney, a track that's been very good for him at Pocono, will be his second win of the season. Pocono is where he got his first career win back in 2017. We have this lower downforce, a little bit higher horsepower package than what we've had in recent years there, and that's the package he ended up actually, or at least a higher horsepower package is where he got his win at Pocono. And even with the high downforce package, he's still been good at Pocono. He finished top 5 in both races there last season. The year before that, top 8 in both races. Again, a win in 2017. He's very strong at Pocono. I think he gets it done there. Indianapolis road course, as I already mentioned, I think Chase Briscoe gets his first career win, makes the playoffs. I think Bowman gets his first win of the year at Michigan. I think he takes a step back as far as wins go this year. Still think he's going to make the playoffs. A Hendrick car, with how dominant they were last year. They don't think they're going to take that big of a step back. They might be a small step back. That's only because of how strong they were last season. I think the field's going to be that much more competitive. Really no fault of their own. I think Bowman wins at Michigan. Hendrick was very strong all day there. Bowman was in the top 5 most of the day as well. And at Richmond, I have Denny Hamlin, again, a short track racer, one of the best in NASCAR today, getting his 3rd win of the season. Chase Elliott getting yet another road course win, his 3rd of the year, 4th total on the season. Again, 3rd road course win. And I have William Byron winning his 3rd race, 2nd career race at Daytona, winning the regular season finale. And for the drivers I have making their way into the round of 12. First, we'll start off with the drivers who I think are going to win the race is the round of 16. The round of 16 this year consists of the Southern 500 once again. Kansas has moved up into the round of 16 as the 2nd race instead of in the round of 8 as race number 2. And the final race of the round will be the Bristol Night Race once again. I think Kyle Larson gets the Darlington sweep this year, getting win number 4 of the season total and winning his 1st career Southern 500. I have Alex Bowman with a little bit of a hot streak winning at Michigan towards the end of the regular season. I think he finds victory lane the 2nd time of the year at Kansas. That's a good mile and a half for him, probably one of his better mile and a halves, in fact, for him. That in Vegas are, statistically at least, his 2 best on average finish. And I think Chase Elliott wins at Bristol. He came very close last year until him and Harvick had contact late. I think this year he gets it done. He won the All-Star race at Bristol a couple years ago as well in 2020, so I do think that he will get the win. So a Hendrick sweep in the round of 16. Drivers I have making the points paying portion of the playoffs. I think Logano and Blaney, both those Penske entries, get in. I think that the Joe Gibbs Toyotas of Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. easily make their way into the next round. No problem there. I think Kevin Harvick points his way into the next round. I think William Byron points his way in. So all 4 Hendrick cars move into the round of 12 as well. I think Tyler Reddick gets into the round of 12. He was very close to making it last year. I think he's going to have a super consistent year. He's only going to slowly trend upward. I still don't have him winning a race up to this point on the season, but I do have him making his way into the round of 12. So just slowly getting better as he makes it into that next round. And this is where it got tough from here. The drivers that I have going on to the next round, the drivers I don't have going on to the next round. I think for Chase Briscoe and Austin Syndrick, they're just happy to make their first playoff appearances. I don't think that they will make it into the next round. I actually don't even have Kurt Busch making it into the round of 16. He was eliminated last year at Chip Ganassi Racing. I don't think 23-11 is going to be as good as what even Chip Ganassi was last season, to be completely honest, as a whole. And that's why I have Bubba Wallace missing the playoffs still. I think the 45 team made the playoffs on points. I don't think they get a win at all this season. I think this is going to be the first winless year for Kurt Busch in like 8 or 9 seasons. So that is my bold prediction there, and I think he's an early exit in the playoffs. Tough choice goes down to either Brad Keselowski or Christopher Bell. Gave it to Christopher Bell over Keselowski, and the only reason I did is because Bell made it to the round of 12 last year. 2 of the 3 tracks that are in this round he ran well at until he got into trouble late in both. He was in the top 5 in both going into the second half of the final stage. I do think he takes a step backwards in the round of 12. I guess he can't really take a step backwards in the round of 12 itself, but in the round of 16, I do think he makes it in. I think Keselowski is going to put up a fight. It's just, I think, first year with Keselowski at Roush, I'm pumping the brakes just a little bit, and I'm going to say that he does not make it into the next round. But to make it into the playoffs with that team, I think that's a step in the right direction for Roush, and puts them at least back to where Newman had the 6th team at least in 2019, maybe even a little better, because I do think that Keselowski will make his way on points, but I don't think he's going to get the last spot. I think, honestly, Kurt Busch is going to get the last spot on points in the regular season. But 4 drivers I have eliminated: Keselowski, Kurt Busch, and then the 2 young guns of Chase Briscoe and Austin Syndrick. And now into the round of 12. These 3 races consist of Texas, Talladega, and the Charlotte Roval. Texas moved up from the first race of the round of 8 to the first race of the round of 12. Dega, Roval, it's been the same the last few years, the second and third races of the round. Again, the Roval, the cutoff race. As far as the drivers who are going to win and advance their way in, I have Ryan Blaney winning at Texas, one of his better mile and a halves on the circuit. I think he gets his 3rd win of the year there. He has led a couple hundred laps there in the last 5 races combined, and he's finished in the top 8 all but one of those times. I think that Blaney and 2 top 5s in that stretch as well. I do think Ryan Blaney will go to victory lane at Texas in the playoffs. Another driver I have making the playoffs, virtue of a win in the round, is going to be Kyle Larson. I think he wins at the Roval. He won 3 road course races last year, so I had to give one of them to him this year. I do think Elliott will win more road course races than what he did last season as well, but I think Larson at least gets the job done at the Roval for the second straight year, and especially if he has a lot less issues mechanically as what he did this year. He won't have to drop back in traffic and fight his way through the field. I think that alone goes to show that Larson is an above-average road course racer compared to what we expected. That and just winning 3 of them last year alone, I think, kind of goes to show that. So I think Larson gets one done. The other driver in the round that I have winning is actually a non-playoff driver, or at least a driver who got eliminated from the playoffs, and that would be Brad Keselowski. I think Keselowski wins at Talladega, his 7th career win at the racetrack, and not only that, I think Brad Keselowski with that win, again, that's the first win back with Roush Fenway. He keeps the streak alive of wins in a consecutive seasons. Whatever it's at right now for him, it's got to be double digits, you would think. He keeps that going for him as well. And I do think Roush gets a win this year, but I think they only make it to the round of 16. I don't think that win comes in the regular season because I think it'll come in the playoff race at Talladega. We have seen non-playoff drivers win that race in recent years. Bubba Wallace last year, for instance, and actually we've seen non-playoff drivers win playoff races in general a lot in recent years, and I think he is going to get the job done there. The other drivers I have making the next round of the playoffs, virtue of points, would be Chase Elliott. I think that Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin easily get into that next round. I think William Byron goes into the round of 8 of the playoffs. I believe that's the first time I have Byron, or first time Byron would be in the round of 8 of the playoffs in his NASCAR career. And the drivers I have eliminated in this round, I got Kevin Harvick exiting out of the round of 12 for the second straight year. I think Christopher Bell as well gets knocked out in the round of 12 for the second straight season. I think Tyler Reddick's run will come to an end in the round of 12. Again, he got one round further than what he did in 2021. I think he gets bumped out in the round of 12. And the last driver in to the round of 8, I have Joey Logano as the last driver into the round of 8, believe it or not. And Alex Bowman eliminated in the round of 12. Again, he wasn't that consistent last year. He wasn't that consistent the year before. Had 1 win 2 years ago. Had 4 last year. I think the inconsistency will show. He'll have 2 wins, enough playoff points that he'll be at least good enough to make it to the round of 12. But he won't have enough playoff points that will progress him into the round of 8 like he did last year, because I think he's only going to get 2 wins versus 4 that he had the season prior. And then as far as the championship 4 goes, the round of 8 races, first and foremost, a little bit different this year, as we have Homestead being brought in as the second race of the round. Las Vegas is going to be brought in as the first race of the round, and then Martinsville, the penultimate race of the season, once again a fan favorite. I have Joey Logano winning the first race of the round, barely skimming his way into the round of 8, but then I have him winning the first race of the round at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That's his ticket into the playoffs. Then I have a non-playoff driver, or at least again another driver who's eliminated from the playoffs, but getting a win. And in fact, I think it's going to be his first career win. Tyler Reddick wins at Homestead, first career win. Could have been a championship 4 appearance, but because he was eliminated in the round of 12, he does not make it into the championship 4. So leaving the playoff field open with 3 drivers still to punch their spot into the next round. And the driver I have winning at Martinsville is going to be Denny Hamlin. I think Hamlin will get the win at Martinsville, get the Martinsville sweep this season, winning both races and advancing his way in, along with Hendrick drivers Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. I think Ryan Blaney is going to put up a little bit better effort at Martinsville than what he did the year before, but I don't think it's going to be enough for him to make it into that round. And I think Kyle Busch will as well get eliminated in the round of 8 for the second straight year. Byron progresses further than what he did last year, but it's not enough to upstake his 2 teammates of Larson and Elliott. And Martin Truex Jr., who is the only driver that I made the championship 4 last year that I don't have in my championship 4 this year, and that's because Logano getting the upset win at Vegas had to knock somebody out of that group, and I think it would be Truex because Hamlin would get the win at Martinsville, and the Hendrick drivers, who had more wins in the regular season, more playoff points, would be able to outpoint Martin Truex Jr. So now into the championship 4. Who do I think is going to win the championship? Who do I think is going to win the championship race? Well, it's going to be a Hendrick driver for the 3rd straight year. Elliott won in 2020. Kyle Larson won in 2021. I think they will finish 1-2 this season. And I think Chase Elliott gets the upper hand on Kyle Larson this year. So Chase Elliott will be my champion. I think Larson finishes second. We'll throw Hamlin in third, Logano fourth of my championship 4. But I think Chase Elliott wins the championship. Why do I think Elliott's going to win over Larson? I just simply think it's going to be based off of that one race. And between the two of their stats at Phoenix, Chase Elliott is the far better driver at Phoenix. I think last year's championship race kind of proved it. Yes, Kyle Larson led the most laps, and yes, he did win the race. But in races even beyond that, Chase Elliott, for one, he led a lot of laps in last year's race. He was only like 10 laps behind Larson, roughly, on laps led in that race. Chase Elliott has led over 350 laps combined in the last 4 races at Phoenix. In the last 4 races Kyle Larson has ran at Phoenix, he's led 110 laps, 107 of which were last season in the fall race. He only led 3 laps combined in the 3 races before that. They both have 4 top 10s in that stretch. Larson has 1 more top 5 than Elliott, but again, and you go into the stage points as well, which don't matter for the last race, but where they finished in the stages, Elliott's consistently in the top 5 in the stages, Larson was consistently in the top 10, and then kind of had to fight his way into the top 5 there late, similar to what happened last year, where he was running 4th to 6th a lot of that final stage, and then the pit stop ended up getting him on top late. I think Chase Elliott's pit crew prevails more so if they have a late race caution this year versus Larson's crew, and I think Elliott overall will be able to maintain better track position throughout the course of the championship race at Phoenix. That will be the ultimate difference maker. So with Elliott winning that race, I have him winning 6 races total on the season, which would be the same amount as I have Larson winning on the year, but I think Elliott gets the championship at season's end. So that is going to be my predictions for 2022. Full in-depth, you saw it every race. My full 16-round playoff field, and we'll get to see at the end of the regular season exactly how that stacked up. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, more real NASCAR content coming to the channel as we get closer to the 2022 NASCAR season in just a couple days. Live commentary for the Busch Clash will be at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday for the heat races and the main event at 6 on the channel. I'll be doing live commentary. We'll have the live statistics and the live leaderboard on the channel while I'm commentating the races throughout race day. Thank you, everybody, for your support as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video.